you for being here.
And thank you for having me.
All right. Okay, let's start with this. All right. What exactly are Filipinos facing? How many Filipinos are undocumented?
The number of Filipinos who are tago ng tago, it varies depending on who counts. But the concern that Filipinos are having in the U.S., and there is a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety and pressure, is that if they are tago ng tago, Trump is saying enforcement priorities. First, it's supposed to be terrorists and criminals, but they're also saying everybody who's out of status is on the table. And that's what makes Filipinos very much afraid.
Okay. And you could be an undocumented Filipino and working. They could be paying taxes or no. Give me the status, the differences.
Well, okay, various different types of tago na tago. One, of course, they come into the U.S. through fraud, an assumed name passport, Filipino passport, photo-substituted visa, so that's fraud. Others come on regular visas and then they overstay. Others might have green cards, commit crimes, and or they're put in deportation. So those are the various types of people who are in the U.S. If people are following the law, they should not have anything to worry about. But if they are out of status, it is a time of anxiety and crisis in the U.S. I'm feeling it with my clients and with the consultations I have.
Okay, so what kind of, what status will the Trump administration deport? So for example, if you're a Filipino with a green card, will you be deported?
All right, so the type of status that Trump is deporting are mainly those who are out of status. They overstayed their visa, they violated the visa, they entered without having a visa. When you ask me about green card holders being deported, it could be possible.
Really?
Yeah, so let me tell you what.
Really?
Yeah, wow. Let me tell you how. If you're a lawful permanent resident, you're fine. It's the lawful part. Let's say, for example, they may have obtained their green card through fraud. For example, they immigrated to the U.S. as single, but they were secretly married, and they are caught.
That's fraud.
That's fraud. Of course.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even if legally you are married.
No, if a person is being petitioned by their parent as single, they must remain single. But a lot of them, they are secretly married and then they immigrate, and later on, like for example, if they apply for citizenship, they may be caught. They could be put in deportation. Others may have gotten into a fixed marriage. That is a big problem that Filipinos, they may marry but not for love, and later on they are caught.
But don't people marry also not for love? I mean, you don't have to be Filipino for that.
Okay.
No, I'm curious, right?
Well, you have to, in U.S. immigration law, on the day you get married, you must have the intention to have a life together. It doesn't matter, like, for example, Kim Kardashian, when she married that basketball player, of course, they're all citizens, but on her wedding day, she intended to have a life together. 60 days later, it just went bad. But you must have the intention to have a life together. Otherwise, it's fixed marriage. The final thing I'll say about the green card holders is, if they're green card holders and then they commit certain crimes, they're subject to deportation.
Okay, but the kind of Filipinos that ask help from your office right now, describe them. What is the status?
A lot of them are here in the Philippines and they are looking to immigrate. They're under petition either by a family member or an employer. So here we help them navigate their way through the immigrant visa process. In the U.S., a lot of them may have married a U.S. citizen and they want to be petitioned. They have been petitioned by an employer or by other family members, and they are asking us to help them navigate their way through adjustment of status in the U.S. Or they may have been put in deportation and they need our help as well.
Now, I can imagine, you can correct me with this, is Filipinos, we have family loyalty. So you may have a Filipino family there that has a green card or they're citizens. A relative comes and the relative stays in their house.
Okay.
Right? And maybe they're doing menial jobs, you know? And the question is, what happens? How dangerous is that? How will ICE find out that, let's say, they're undocumented? How do they find out?
Okay,
Do
so
they stop you in
so
the
you're
street?
talking about somebody who comes to visit. They're given
Yes.
6 months, and then they're
like, I like it here.
I like it here in America.
Yeah, I want to stay with you.
West Side
Tita.
Story.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, yeah, they can go tago na tago. And in those situations, when you're asking how they could be caught, what I've seen mostly is a balimbing or chismoso, cousin or family member. That's where
Terrible.
they can typically get caught. Sometimes the tago na tago can file for something they're not entitled to. They go to some consultant or they go to one of these immigration chat rooms and say, oh, try political asylum, try this temporary protected, and then they file it because they're promised a work permit. They're not eligible. They get denied. And under Trump, under his first term, they were having like a zero tolerance policy that if a person is denied a benefit and as a result they're out of status, put them in deportation.
Yeah. Now, what should Filipinos do? Should ICE agents knock on their doors, right? Are they legally required to answer? What should Filipinos do at that point?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a plug because I have a YouTube channel, U.S. Immigration TV. U.S. Immigration TV. And the most recent video I posted was what to do when ICE knocks at your door, which is exactly, so I'm going to give you the live version right now because you're sitting here. Basically, unless the ICE agents have a warrant signed by a judge, you do not have the obligation to open the door or let them in.
But how will they know that?
So what you're supposed to do, if you have the nerve, is say have them slip the warrant under the door or hold it up to the keyhole. Also, you should not answer questions if you're not required to do so. Most importantly, I'd say, I want to speak with an attorney. Repeat that. And then because if you start saying things, if you start signing things, you're not signing something for your own good. They're asking you to sign away your life in America, realistically. So I'd say, don't open the door, or if you do, step outside, see an attorney, and try to keep quiet. You have the right to remain silent, just have the ability to do so.
Okay, now based on your experience, are Filipinos able to do that? I slipped water in just in case you wanted to. So are Filipinos able to do that? Or do you see them as fearful?
They are fearful.
Because when ICE agents come, would they do that?
They can be fearful. Of course, anybody, if an ICE agent, a police officer comes to them, they are afraid. But I want to assure you, and for your audience here in the Philippines, tell your kapamilya or family back home these sort of things, that even with these ICE raids, I want to clear up some myths or misconceptions. It's not that ICE comes, knocks at your door, picks you up, takes you in a van to the airport and sends you back home. No. If you are subject to deportation, first you put in deportation. Then you have the right to go in front of a judge, and you may have claims for relief. Certainly, if you have a previous deportation order or you're a dangerous felon, they may take you into custody. But if you're just a plain tago na tago, I don't think that they are at the point where they cannot just arrest you and take you to the airport.
Okay, now just to balance the equation here, is it true that during Biden's time, there were also deportations?
Yes, and that's, I think Trump is making people more afraid than they should be. For example, Obama is known as the deporter-in-chief. He deported more people, but he did it with a smile, kind of. Everyone loved it. Bill Clinton also deported. In fact, Bill Clinton signed one of these laws, IRA. It's one of the most harsh immigration laws. We're still feeling the effect of it. I think that Trump he ran on immigration. He's going to keep doing, because that was a winning issue for him. He's going to hammer home, but realistically, to give all of you out there some pagasa, you had, like I said, Obama was the deporter-in-chief. Also, many of you back home, if you're back home in the U.S., back home for me, they lived through the first 4 years of Trump. Okay, and they can live through the next 4 years, I think.
Yeah.
But I'd say, if you have any doubts, concerns, fears, see an attorney.
What are, let's do the do's and don'ts,
Mm-hmm.
okay? You're a Filipino in the U.S., you're overstaying. I mean, if you commit a crime, that's a whole other situation.
Right.
Do you help Filipinos who commit crimes?
In the sense that if they have a crime, what we do is we will coordinate with the criminal law attorney, to ensure that they are offered some kind of plea deal that will not affect their immigration status or make them deportable. Sometimes if you plead guilty to a particular crime,
like shoplifting.
Well,
I mean, I don't know. What do they do?
Interesting, you brought shoplifting. That's the Lincoln Riley Act. If a person now commits shoplifting, they can be detained. Imagine that. That's going to be, a lot of people in San Francisco if they're not U.S. citizens. But your question.
Yeah. So what are the do's and don'ts? So let's start first with the don't. Let's start with a Filipino that has no papers, tago ng tago, or one who's overstayed. What's the don't?
I would say one of the biggest don'ts is don't ever claim, even to an employer, that you are a U.S. citizen, even to get a job. Another don't is don't file for immigration benefits that you are not eligible for, because it's just going to result in a denial. And under Trump,
you'll be found out.
Yeah, you put yourself on the radar, and. Don't complain too much to your family, because you're complaining to them. You're thinking they're going to say "grabe mahirap," and they may report you.
Really, even the family?
So I've seen that they get into property disputes here in the Philippines, and that's one thing. Yeah, crab mentality.
Okay, now what are the do's?
The do's, I would say, and of course I'm biased, but I would say before filing anything, or just to get a feel for your immigration status, see an attorney. An attorney can evaluate your immigration status, your situation, and perhaps the attorney can find ways by which you can legalize your status legally and help you gather the appropriate documentation, package it, prepare the petition or the other filing to help them achieve the American dream.
Okay, based on your clients, what is the biggest profile of Filipinos? I mean, at least in recent years, I believe like in the 60s, my uncle went there and they started tago ng tago, became a citizen. But let's put it in recent years. What is the biggest profile of Filipinos who want to stay?
Well, a lot of them are tago ng tago, which makes their ability to
work harder.
To get a green card that much harder now that they're tago ng tago.
So if you want a green card, what's the easiest way to get a green card?
Marry a U.S. citizen, but you knew that. Everybody knows that. But there are two ways.
Yeah.
Realistically, there are two main ways to get a green card in the U.S. One is a family petition. The other is an employer's petition. Family petitions, some of them, though, can take 20, 25 years. But at least that one's there. Another one is an employer's petition. It can be a college-level job. It can be a skill-type job. And what a lot of Filipinos did not know about, which I have videos on my YouTube channel, I'm plugging myself
go, please, go.
U.S. Immigration TV, is that Filipinos can be petitioned even as caregivers, housekeepers, and also family members in the U.S. can petition family members here for employment-based green cards.
Yeah, but what is the visa? I know of
that would
someone.
Be green card.
No, who used? Is it called like a special talent, special skills visa or something?
There are different types of visas. What you may be speaking about is extraordinary ability like you would be a perfect candidate for a green card. Yeah, extraordinary ability in the arts.
Yeah, but you'd have to live there.
You'd have to go there, yes.
Yes.
I mean, I've obtained that, and I can say that because they give me permission. But like Gina Alahar got that type of green card holder.
And is she a U.S. citizen now?
No, she's still a green card holder.
Okay.
But
go on.
You have to live in the U.S. So if you have your job here, it's going to be hard to work over there.
Okay, all right. Now, what about Trump's plan to end birthright citizenship?
Mm-hmm.
How does this affect? I mean, not just Filipinos, but all children of migrants.
In fact, it was breaking news that a federal judge issued an injunction today nationwide against that. So here's what's happening with Trump and birthright citizenship. A quick primer is that the U.S. Constitution, 14th Amendment, says anyone born in the U.S. and subject to the jurisdiction thereof is a U.S. citizen. And it's that phrase, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, that Trump is basing his executive order. And he is saying that not everyone born in the U.S. or their parents are subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S. In the past, that phrase applied to like children of ambassadors. But now what Trump is saying is that if a parent is tago na tago or just here on a temporary visa, they're not subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S. They're subject to the jurisdiction of their home country, so therefore their kids. There was a case, 1898, where the Supreme Court had said, no, the kid born in the U.S. is a U.S. citizen. But Trump is distinguishing that case, saying, but the parents were permanent residents. And here I'm not going after the children of permanent residents. So I think eventually this has to be decided by the U.S. Supreme Court, what that phrase subject to the jurisdiction is. Also, for a long time, the U.S. State Department has been trying to crack down on what we call birth tourism. They changed the Foreign Affairs Manual, which is the regulations or Bible of the embassy, and saying that if a pregnant woman comes to apply for a visitor visa, if the primary...
And I know many people who've done that.
Yes.
They've given birth in the U.S., Yeah,
and in fact, there was a big problem with the Chinese women. They would go there, stay luxury resorts, and the problem was they gave birth on Medicaid. They were having taxpayers pay for it. In the meantime, they had their receipts showing Gucci, Hermes shopping. So they didn't like that.
Yes, but go on. So now there's a crackdown on birth tourism in the U.S.
Yes, if the primary purpose, and this has been around before Trump, if the primary purpose of a woman coming to the U.S. is to give birth, the consul should refuse the visa. And as far as this 14th Amendment, it's probably going to wind its way to the U.S. Supreme Court to interpret that particular phrase.
All right. How many Filipinos have you helped? I mean, you are an icon. You're like legendary in this field already. I mean, you've been here more than 20 years. Am I right?
Yeah.
How many years have you been doing this? I started as a reporter. You were already famous.
45 years.
45 years.
Practicing.
How many Filipinos have you helped in the U.S.?
Okay, so I'm going to answer that a roundabout way. I had thousands of clients who I helped, but I want to hope that I have helped hundreds of thousands of you, because I have had my TV show Citizen Pinoy here, and what I tried to do is give you out there information, tips, news, and developments in immigration law. Many Filipinos have come up to me and said, I watched your show, and for what I learned, I was able to bring my family. I helped them as well, and that's my legacy. It's such a rewarding feeling to help Filipinos achieve their American dream, and I'm still, they're going to have to carry me out of my office my last day of work, because I'm going to keep fighting for Filipinos.
Well, I have to say, you're still very vibrant about it. You're passionate and excited. Thank you.
Salamat
Attorney
po. Michael
Garfinkel. So please don't forget quickly his YouTube channel.
U.S. Immigration TV.
U.S. Immigration
And my name is Garfinkel, not Garfinkel, Garfield, Garfunkel. It's G-U-R. Not you, but other people, they don't know how to spell. Yeah, I misspell my name sometimes. So I'm just joking about that.
Garfinkel.
Correct.
Garfinkel.com.
.com.
Thank you so much.
Salamat.